Hi there. I wanted to do a quick video just about the basics of worms and why you might be interested in getting into worms and why we're interested in getting into worms. So we've been doing red wiggler worm composting for a couple of years now, maybe as long as 3 years. It's really nice because it breaks down your kitchen scraps for you. So all that extra food you have, maybe vegetable matter that comes out of your kitchen or comes out of your garden, or you can throw that in with your worms and they'll break it down for you and make awesome worm compost and worm castings. Another great reason that you might want to do it is that you can sell worms, or you can use them for fishing, or you can sell them to people who are going to use them for fishing. Worms gather a high cost. A lot of people want to use them to create worm bins and worm composting. A lot of other people want to use them for fishing, for all sorts of things. There's multiple different types of worms that you can use, as well as multiple different types of methods for composting them. A few of the different types of worms are going to be the red wigglers, which I have here, and is the one that I'm most familiar with and I've been using the most. And you can see these guys here. Got a bunch of, they're squirming around, about getting ready to start a new bin. I just harvested a bunch of these guys. They're kind of, ew. Worms are dirty, by the way. So there's red wigglers. You can also use European night crawlers. Alabama jumpers are a good one. There's an African night crawler that works well for composting. One thing you don't really want to do is go out into your garden and pick up worms out of the dirt. Those are going to most likely be a Canadian night crawler. Canadian night crawlers like to burrow. They make tunnels for themselves and they'll go down 12, 15 feet into the ground. With food composting, you're not going to be able to burrow that deep. Most of these composting worms, they like to stay on the surface. They like to be, in the top 8 inches of the soil. You'll typically find them under leaf litter, big piles of leaves. You'll find them in manure piles and different areas like that on their own. So we bring them in, we put them in an environment that's good for them so they can stay in that top 8 inches, and we give them lots of food. And in return, we get castings and we get worms, and they break down our food scraps. It works out really great. As far as the different types of bins that you can use, right now we're using a worm factory, which you can check out online, and I'll show you a picture of that. And it's basically a tray stacking system because the worms like to move up to get the food. So at the bottom you end up with castings. You can use 5-gallon buckets, you can use Rubbermaid totes, you can use a large wooden box, you can use what they call worm towers, which is basically just burying a PVC tube in the ground, drilling holes in it, and just having your worms live in your garden outside year-round. These worms do have to be taken care of and have appropriate temperatures. Each different worm likes a different temperature, and they will freeze if you leave them outside. Because they can't burrow down 12, 14 feet like the Canadian night crawler, they're not going to be able to get below the frost line. So they need to come in the wintertime and be kept in a temperature-controlled area. I plan on showing you videos about all these different things and how to control them and how to use all these different types of worms and the different types of bins and how to make them and how to harvest and all these different things. But this is just kind of some basic information about the worms. They're lots of fun, so get started, but they're a little bit messy. Thanks a lot.